Hi, this is Renee, and this is podcast number 15.
Welcome to the ITeachBlogging.com blogcast. Your host, Renee Grosskreutz, talks blog all day long and shares it all. No secrets here to help you become a successful blogger. Listen at the end of today's blogcast on how to get your free PDF of Renee's booklet, Tips on Blogging for Business. Now, here's Renee.
In this episode, we will recap a tip from the last podcast, a quick SEO tip, and then we are going to get down to it with a conversation about owning your domain name. So, the tip from podcast number 14, the fear of blogging. In this podcast, I shared my own insecurities and fears about blogging. I can't say that this podcast had many tips in it. It was actually a little bit short, but it was raw and honest about how it feels to be a blogger. I shared the fearful thoughts that go through my head. Here are just a few. Just because this is important to me, will other people care? Do I have time to put into this blog post that it needs and deserves? I forgot to pay the electric bill. I keep forgetting things. So therefore, I shouldn't blog, of course. Is my writing good enough for people to read it? Who said I could write anyways? The point that I hope to you get out of that podcast is that we all struggle with insecurities and doubts. When I learned that my hero bloggers had these same problems, it gave me great comfort. In the end, I just have to push everything aside and get the blogging done. I can't let my fears stop me from blogging, and neither can you. And here's your SEO tip for the day. In the last podcast, I suggested that you analyze your top pages or posts on your site. This week, I would suggest that you analyze your least visited pages or posts on your site. Some of the things you need to look at. Are they functional? Do they still work? Are there words, are there pictures, everything you intended to be there? Because sometimes things freaking break. Does the content make sense? Maybe you need to look at it a little bit and reanalyze. Because you need to be thinking, why aren't people visiting this page? Or does it just not make sense? People not wanting to share it? That's a good question. And it's nothing bad. We all write pages that don't make sense. Gosh knows I've done it. Could you improve the content? Obviously, can you? Could you? Probably yes, but should you? Is also a good question. Are they being linked to enough? This could really be the real root of the problem, and I'm going to come back to it in just a second. How many internal links do you have to them? What can you do to improve these pages? When it comes to are they being linked to enough, in other words, are they on the nav bar? Should they be on the nav bar? Are there any other pages on your site that are linking to them? Are they in your footer? Are you sharing these pages on social media? There's a lot of ways to link to a page. Sometimes you have landing pages that you wouldn't have on your nav, but are still under your domain name. Yeah, that's a bit confusing and weird, but it happens. But you need to make sure that people know it exists. Just because you make the page is not a sufficient reason for people to go to it, at least not for a really long time. Once the page gets well indexed and it's been around a long time, you might get lucky and get a few visits without doing any social shares or something like that. But social shares are a huge part of it, so keep that in mind. In the world of digital, it is not just about the next piece of new content. It is also about how to utilize and make better what you already have. Plus, just like with clients, the best client that you'll ever have is the one that you already have. Just with pages, the best one that you'll have is the one that you already have. Although I will say, sometimes when I go back to old blog posts that I want to repurpose, I realize that it would actually just be easier to start over. So I don't know. But there you go. That's my SEO tip for the day. Now, let's get down to it with a conversation about domain names. If there is one thing that you learn from me at all, it is that you should own your domain name. If there's one thing that I would like to recommend to all business owners above all things, it is that you must own your domain name. I have run across so many people that started their blog on www.yourcompanyname.wordpress.com or on yourcompanyname.tumblr.com or yourcompanyname.blogspot.com and even on Weebly, and now realize that they need to move it. Let me say up front that I am a huge fan of these kind of companies, and they have a wonderful place in the world and serve us really super well. They just do not serve the business owner or professional blogger well. Authors, do not forget that you are a business owner. The art of selling your book is a business. I have to say this because I own a company that does PR marketing. And sometimes authors think, oh, I could just go on Blogspot. It's no big deal. I'm just an author. No, I'm sorry. If you want to make money, you are a business owner. So therefore, invest the $15 a year and own your domain name. Hosting is a bit more, but that's another conversation. So here's why you should, here's a list of 10 reasons why you should own your domain name. I'm going to list all 10, and then we'll come back and talk about them a little bit. Number 1, it makes you look like the professional that you are. You will own your content. You will have a professional email account. You can use a premium theme. If you want to be a professional blogger, people most likely will not want to pay you for ads. You do not want to spend time building great SEO on a website that you do not own. They can turn it off at any time for any reason that they choose. Sometimes you need an HTTPS for secure shopping purposes. You don't want to be limited with WordPress plugins. Number 10, if a better platform comes along, you can change with the times. Okay, now these things require you to have hosting too. Like I said, so it's your domain name and your hosting, but you can get these really good deals. I see things for like $2.95 a month. I use Just Host. If you sign up with them, I think it's like $160 for 2 or 3 years. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. I'll put it on the show notes page. So it makes you look the professional that you are. If you are a professional business owner, but you have WordPress in the name, then I automatically assume that you're not really sure that your business is going to make it. So therefore, I'm a little nervous about investing money in you. For example, if you're a plumber, I have bad plumbing in my house. I bought an old house. So I want to have an established relationship with a plumber. But if the plumber has WordPress in the name, then are they insured? Are they really good at what they do? Is it a scam? Can I trust this company? And I'm going to say something too. Travel agents are a huge thing online. And for the longest time, I thought to myself, why on earth would I use a travel agent? And then I had a lot of travel agents become clients. And I learned a lot more about the travel industry by default with these clients. And now I understand why I would want to use a travel agent. I totally get it. And I totally think that's the way that people should go with travel, especially large trips. You know, if you're just flying to Austin from Dallas, maybe not so much, but if you are going to Germany or somewhere like that, you definitely want a travel agent. But this is not a commercial for travel agents. But my point is, if I'm going to hand over somebody with a lot of money, then I want to know that they are trustworthy. So if I'm going to buy a $5,000 vacation, wish I could do that right now. But anyway, if I'm going to buy a $5,000 vacation from a travel agent and their email account has Gmail in it, then I'm going to assume, unless I know them really well, that they are not trustworthy because they don't have enough faith in their company to go get the right kind of email address. These things matter. These are perception issues that matter for your business. Number 4 was you can use a premium theme. Yes, you want to use a premium theme. There are reasons. I'll just go over a few off the top of my head. Code. Clean code versus junk code. What does that mean? It's complicated. I'm not even sure I fully understand what it means. I know how to build a website. I know how to do all of these things, but sometimes I just know how to do the right things for the right reasons. But I have read enough statistics to know that you want clean code. Professional themes for WordPress is what I'm talking about here, by the way. Professional themes have good SEO tools built straight into them. For example, Thesis Theme, which is one of the ones that I use the most, has some places where you just put in your Google authorization code and it works automatically. Saves you a lot of time and effort. It has the meta title, meta description, meta keywords section for every single page built right in. Same thing for categories. That meta description data is going to be there for your categories. So if you're a blogger, that's something that you want to keep in mind. These things are important and they work really well, and the search engines have better respect, if that's possible, for lack of a better phrase, for these kind of things. Okay? Number 6 was you do not want to spend time building great SEO on a website that you do not own. This is important because these things are hard and they take time. If you are a blogger, or if you're a professional blogger, if you're blogging for your business, 2 things. If you're blogging for your business, you really want your blog to have your company domain in it. I have seen a lot of people that have, we'll just say, garage door repair people from bedfordtexas.com, and they have this really great website and it's doing well, but they realize, oh, I need the blog, but I don't know how to add a blog to my domain name, so I'm going to go start one on Blogspot. So all of a sudden they have this separate URL that they don't even own that has their blog, and let's say that blog is putting out some information and it links back to their website. That's great, but now you're building SEO juice, link juice. You're building this foundation that involves your company on a website, on a domain name that you don't even own. This is bad news. You don't want to try. Blogger is owned by Google. Google doesn't need your help with SEO. You need your help with SEO. So build it on your domain name. Number 7, they can turn it off at any time for any reason that they choose. And you might think to yourself, but I'm never going to do anything that would cause them to turn it. I'm not a terrorist. I'm not a hacker. I'm not offensive in any way. But you might be something offensive to somebody. And if somebody complained, then there. But even if it's not that, let's just say that you're a blogger and you want to put affiliate ads and you want to do it on the WordPress with the free WordPress. You can't do it. It can't be done. They will shut you down. That is against the rules. So when you go to do one of these free websites, you really, truly need to think it through and you need to read the rules. Number 8, sometimes you need HTTPS for secure shopping purposes. And you're thinking, well, I'm not an e-commerce site. Yeah, but you still might want to take money. Even on my business website, I take money. You can enter your credit card information right there, and I couldn't do that without that HTTPS. And you can't do that HTTPS with the free domain name. It's just not going to happen. It's against the rules. That's asking too much for free, if you think about it too, because there's things that have to happen with that. You have to pay extra money for that S, for that security. And somebody who's providing you a product for free really shouldn't have to take on that kind of responsibility. So it's give and take. Number 9, you don't want to be limited with WordPress plugins. Oh my gosh. WordPress plugins are what makes a website amazing. This is true. Like, for example, Copyblogger, who owns StudioPress, which is Genesis Theme, they have a plugin called Scribe SEO. This is a third-party plugin, and it's expensive, and it costs money, and it's all these things, but it's really worth it, and it's really powerful for SEO. But you got to own your own domain name to use that. For my membership site, my.iteachblogging.com, free membership site about these things, by the way. Anyway, I use a, again, Copyblogger plugin called Premise, and it's a third-party plugin. I couldn't use that on my free domain name. That's not going to happen. And there's other ones too. There's some more simple ones, but I just read the other day that there's about 27,000 plugins that you can't use on a free WordPress website. And that is aside from Blogger and Weebly and all these other things. This is just WordPress. So number 10, if a better platform comes along, you can change with the times. This is really good to think about, because if you pick, for example, I think there's a lot of competition between Blogger and WordPress, and I personally think WordPress is better. No offense, Google, or no offense, Blogger. But the deal is, I own my domain name. I own iteachblogging.com, and I own my hosting. So if something better than WordPress comes along, you betcha, man, I'm fickle because I care about putting the best out there for my audience. I'm going to change. I can't foresee that happening because I think WordPress is truly the most amazing platform. And since it's open source, they grow and change appropriately. But there are other platforms out there. And if I change my mind at any point, if any reason, if I just feel freaking experimental, I have total and absolute control to change my mind. So that is my 10 reasons of why you should own your domain name. There you go. Blog on. Thank you for listening to iteachblogging.com blogcast with me, Renee Grosskreutz. Visit iteachblogging.com/show notes. I will have the PDF download for you at that link, along with useful links that we talked about today. Go forth and blog.